Welcome back, guys, to the Andrei Delic podcast. I'm your host, Andrei Delic. Okay, so guys, today I had planned a reality check, number 21. But while I was scrolling, while I was waiting for shout out Matt Perry to set everything up and make sure everything is ready for rolling, I saw like a post on Facebook and I had to address it. It's regarding soccer, football, European football. I had to address it because it fucking busted my balls and I couldn't believe that I saw like a video or a clip and someone asked Ousmane Dembele to choose between Benzema's 2021-2022 Ballon d'Or season or Ronaldinho's 2005 Ballon d'Or season. And he chose Benzema. Dembele, what the actual fuck? And he said, I'm quoting Dembele right now. He said, greatest Ballon d'Or winner between Benzema and Ronaldinho. That's what someone asked him. And he said, Benzema's, I'm quoting him, Benzema's 2021-2022 was incredible for his career path. I'd say Benzema. If we're being honest, Ousmane Dembele, I know you're French. I know Benzema is French. I know you play with him in the national team, whatever. I know you probably have like a friendship with him, which makes sense. No chance in heaven or in hell is Benzema's 2021-2022 season better than Ronaldinho's prime 2005 season. It's not even close. It's not even comparable. It's a mile. It's thousands of miles difference. One is hell, one is heaven. It's not even comparable. It's not like, let's say, Messi's 2015 Ballon d'Or season and Messi's 2012 Ballon d'Or season. You know, you can compare those two seasons. Which season he was better? I don't know. But Ronaldinho 2005 Ballon d'Or and Benzema 2022 Ballon d'Or, I mean, Ronaldinho, it's not even comparable. There's like, it's night and day. It's day and night. It's fucking heaven and hell. It's two completely different things. You can't even compare it. And just the fact that you chose Benzema over Ronaldinho, I understand he's your friend. I understand you played with him, whatever. He's your colleague. But bro, Ronaldinho in his prime. No, there's maybe Ronaldinho's 2005 season, maybe that's the greatest season of all time. Like of all time for all football players. Maybe that's the greatest football season of all time. And you're going to choose Benzema's 2022 Ballon d'Or, which is probably one of the worst Ballon d'Ors in the history of the Ballon d'Or history. Probably one of the worst Ballon d'Or wins. And you're choosing that Ballon d'Or win over the greatest Ballon d'Or win of all time, which is probably Ronaldinho's 2005 Ballon d'Or win. It's either that one or Messi's 2012 or Messi's 2015 or any other Messi's Ballon d'Or win. But like, if I'm being honest, the three greatest Ballon d'Or wins of all time is Messi 2015, Messi 2012, where he scored 91 goals in a fucking calendar year, and Ronaldinho's 2005 Ballon d'Or win. Those three wins are the three greatest Ballon d'Or wins of all time. Like, nothing even comes close to those three. And you chose Benzema. Probably one of the worst Ballon d'Or wins in history. For the past 20 years, so from 2005 to 2025, Benzema's 2022 Ballon d'Or win is the worst Ballon d'Or win. Lewandowski's Ballon d'Or win is better. Modric's Ballon d'Or win is better. Any of Cristiano Ronaldo's Ballon d'Or wins are better. Any of Messi's Ballon d'Or wins are better. It's the worst Ballon d'Or win in the history of the Ballon d'Ors, Benzema's 2022 season. And you chose that over Ronaldinho's 2005 season Ballon d'Or win. That's probably the greatest Ballon d'Or win in the history of Ballon d'Ors. So I just had to address it before I start the reality check because, I mean, Dembele, that was fucking crazy, man. I don't know. You're biased because he's French and you know that he was probably going to see that clip of you saying it. So you felt like you had to choose it. But Dembele, between me and you, you know that's not even comparable, man. There's no comparisons between Ronaldinho's 2005 win, Ballon d'Or win, and Benzema's 2022 Ballon d'Or win. There's no comparisons, man. It's two completely different things. Having said that, now I'm going to leave this football episode for another time. I'm going to do this reality check. But actually, should I do the football episode now? 4, 5, 6. No, let me do the reality check. Yeah, I'll do the reality check and then a football episode another time. Okay, so guys, reality check number 21. Life is simple, man. Okay, everyone who will tell you or make you feel that life is complicated are in the wrong. When you feel like some part of your life is complicated or complex, it's because it's wrong. Life is simple. Everything that's good in life and everything that's worthwhile in life is simple. Now, meaning that something is simple Doesn't mean that it's easy to do. It's simple getting in shape. Go to the gym, eat healthy. It's simple. It doesn't mean it's easy. It's hard. It's hard going to the gym and it's hard eating healthy. It's really hard. But the main argument remains, whatever is simple in life is the right path and is good for you. Doesn't mean that it's easy. It goes for the other way also, the other way around. Everything that's complicated, everything that seems complex or complicated, any aspect in life, it's not the right path and it's not how it should be. And now difficulty level, it can be easy or it can be hard. But at the end of the day, if it seems complicated, if it looks complicated, it's because it's not the right answer. Everything in life that's good or that is right is simple. Now, like I said, doesn't mean that it's easy and it doesn't mean that it's hard. It has nothing to do with difficulty level. It only has to do with what's right. And simple is right, simple is good, and simple is correct. And even how they say less is more, because life is simple, man. Doesn't mean it's easy. Life is really hard, but life is simple. Okay, so this is something that happened to me a lot, happened to every single human being, just a normal part of being a human being. When you fuck up in the past, I fucked up many times in the past, you fucked up many times in the past, whoever. When you fuck up in the past, don't dwell on it. I know it's easier to say than to do. I'm a victim of it. Sometimes I fucked up many times in the past and I've been caught dwelling on it and overthinking about it and just thinking about something that I cannot change, like something that happened in the past. But if we're being honest and if we're keeping it real, it's a reality check. Whenever you fuck up in the past, short-term memory, forget about it, don't dwell on it. And the best you can do is, so what can I learn from that, from what happened? What can I learn from how I fucked up and from what I fucked up? Can I learn something from it? Yes. Let me learn from it and then let me forget about it. Short-term memory. Short-term, of course, like forgive, but don't forget, of course. But don't dwell on it. Life, keep living life, keep moving forward. Every day, try to be a better person. Try to be the best version of yourself day by day, step by step. I said it so many times. But whenever you fuck up in the past, don't dwell on it, man. There's no reason for you to dwell on it. You cannot change it. Whenever there's something you cannot change, you shouldn't even waste your energy thinking about it. You're just wasting time and energy thinking about things that you cannot change. Focus on the things that you can change and try to change the things that you can change in order to live a better life and to just have better aspects in your life, be in a better situation in your life or be in a better place in your life. So don't focus on things you cannot change. And one of the things you cannot change is the past. You cannot change the past, so don't dwell on it. Learn from it and keep moving on. Move on. That's life. No one is perfect. Any single human being, every single human being fucked up once upon a time in their life in the past. It happened to everyone, no matter who you are, no matter how good you are, or no matter how successful you are. There's a certain situation or a certain time in your life in the past where you fucked up. It just happens. And the more successful you are right now, it just means that the more you fucked up in the past. The more you see someone who's successful, that just means that he fucked up more times in the past than someone who's least successful than him. That's a fact of life. The more successful you are, the more you fucked up in the past. That's a fact. So like I said, guys, don't dwell on it. Okay, so guys, recently I watched a Call Her Daddy episode. It's a podcast hosted by Alex Cooper, really famous podcast, really famous host. It's like one of the biggest podcasts in the world, like top 5 easily. I think it's the most listened to podcast by women. And on one of her podcasts, she was explaining how when she used to see a guy who was long distance, how they would sext. They would sex text, right? I knew about that. I knew about sex texting. I never did it. I never really saw the joy in it or never really saw what's so fun about it. Sexting. I think that's the term, sexting. I never saw it as something cool or something that would be attractive to me, sexting. So I never did it. I don't think I'll ever do it. And I just never did it. So I knew about sexting. But and then in the episode, she said later on in the episode, she said that you start off with sexting and then you pull up FaceTime with the person and then you do FaceTime sex. So I knew about sexting, but I didn't know that FaceTime sex existed. How the fuck does that work? I guess like every single person on his side, you masturbate, I guess. while being on FaceTime with the other person. I never did it. I didn't even know that existed. Like, I don't know what's the hype behind it. Like, I guess I understand a little bit, like maybe you can talk with the person. It's like phone sex, I guess, but it's FaceTime. So maybe it's even better for those type of people who do those type of things, because not only is it vocal, but it's vocal and it's visual also. So I guess it's a bit better than phone sex. And also phone sex is something I would never do and I never did. I mean, what's the hype in it? I'm fucking on a phone and someone's talking dirty to me. What the fuck? What kind of bullshit is that? I would never pay for phone sex. I mean, what the fuck? But I never knew that FaceTime sex existed. I was very surprised when she said that she would do it. And she said that it's really popular amongst a lot of people. So I was really surprised because I never heard one of my friends talk about it. I never heard about a person in my family member talk about it. I never heard a person in my close circle talk about it. So I just assumed that no one does it, and I just assumed that it didn't exist because I just never thought about it and I never knew about it. So I was really surprised when Alex Cooper talked about it. I just find, like, I guess each to his own, like everyone has his own kinks and whatever. But sexting, FaceTime sex, and phone sex are three things that I never did, I'll never do, and I never found attractive. Like, I don't know, like, let me do the real act with a real person. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's attractive to me. But sexting, phone sex, or FaceTime sex, I mean, I just find it cringe a little bit. Like, I don't know, I'm supposed to be texting with you like, oh, I'm going to, like, I don't even know, like, what, I'm going to fuck you good tonight? Like, I don't know. But hey, I never did it. But the main argument was that I never knew about FaceTime sex, and I was really surprised. Okay, so I feel like I said in the beginning of the episode, life is simple. And how I see life, especially now as a 25-year-old who's very ambitious, I feel like life, the main goal of life, the main purpose of life is finding your purpose and working towards it 24/7. Find something that you're passionate about, that you're even obsessed about, and work towards it 24/7. That's how I feel life should be lived. That's when I feel that life is lived to the full extent, that life is lived fully to the greatest extent that it can be lived. And I mean, once you do something consistently, even if you feel like you're lost in the beginning, you're not lost, you're just early in the process, like they say. Just keep grinding it. Don't give up, no matter what your brain says, no matter what that negative little voice in your mind says. Don't give up. Just grind it out. And eventually, like it or not, maybe it'll take years, maybe it'll take months, no matter what the time is. Eventually, you'll accomplish that goal and you'll accomplish your dreams and whatever. But I feel like that's how life should be lived. You find your passion, you find your purpose in life, and you never fucking give up. You keep going like an animal. You find something not only that you love doing, but that you're fucking obsessed at doing. And I feel like that's when you get that fire inside of you, and that's when you get like those killer instincts, and that's when you get that urge inside of you to keep pushing no matter what adversity you face, or no matter what failure you face, or no matter what negative comment or feedback you face. When you have that urge for something you're fucking literally obsessed for, you would die for, nothing can stop you, man. You become like a fucking animal. And also, if I might add, I love this way of seeing life. Think of accomplishing your goals as a video game. Be rational and stoic, and you will not care when you face rejection or failure. Do you know when you play a video game and when you fail a mission and then you have to restart, you're not all emotional about it. You don't care. You maybe get pissed off, but you're like, okay, one more time. Okay, I fell again. Okay, one more time. Okay, one more time. Okay, one more time. You don't stop going until you fucking accomplish the mission and until you accomplish the goal, and then you go on to the next step and to the next mission and goal. That's how I feel it should be. It should be like when you chase your dreams. But we, being emotional creatures, when we face rejection or failure, we take it personally. But in video games, when you face rejection or failure, you don't take it personally. That's why it's easier for us to keep going in video games than in life, because there's no emotions behind it. Like yeah, some gamers can put emotions in it, can tie emotions, but in general, there's not as much emotions involved. And when you play video games and when you're just trying to get to the next level, you're more rational and you're more stoic when it comes to facing failure and just being rational. You don't give a fuck. Like, okay, I failed this mission. Let me do it again. Let me redo it. Oh, next time, I'll do it better because I saw that where I fucked up was here. I should have went here and I should have shot that guy. I should have killed that guy. I should have done this. I should have done that. So we're more rational. So that's why I feel like if you're capable of putting your emotions to the side and just being fully rational and stoic while on the path to accomplishing your goals and your dreams, you'll accomplish your dreams way faster, way less mental energy will be spent, and you'll just be way happier throughout the process than you would be if you would have a lot of emotions tied up. Of course, you could still accomplish your dreams while being emotional. Like it or not, we're human beings. We'll always be emotional regarding us in our lives. It's a normal aspect of life. But try to minimize it as much as you can and to maximize as much as you can your rationality and your stoicism inside of you. And that's when you'll be like a fucking animal and you'll accomplish your dreams as fast as possible and as much as you can. That's how I feel like life should be lived. Like when you play a video game, you're all rational and stoic, and when you face failure or when you fail a mission or when you don't pass or you don't achieve your goal or your objective, you don't care. You just keep going and you never fucking give up. And there's a quote from Winston Churchill that I really fucking love. And he said, success is the ability to go from one failure to another with no loss of enthusiasm. That's the key word, no loss of enthusiasm. So of course, success, going from failure to failure is really good. Having the ability and the skill set to go from failure to failure is really good. But to have the skill set and the ability to go from failure to failure without the loss of enthusiasm, that's the peak human trait you can have in order to accomplish your dreams and your goals. That's the peak fucking human trait you can have. And of course, it's easy to have enthusiasm in the beginning, but then the hard part is to keep that enthusiasm after failure and failure, because like or not, when you start off doing something, when you start off on your journey, you're going to face failure and you're going to face rejection and whatever. That's a normal part. But if you're capable of passing on without the loss of enthusiasm, you're going to go so far in life and it's going to be fucking crazy, man. That's why I fucking love this quote from Winston Churchill. Okay, so my thoughts on the famous saying. You all know the famous saying. We all heard it once in our lives. What you don't know won't hurt you. I don't agree. I don't love that quote, because what you don't know won't hurt you now, but eventually will hurt you. That's how I see it. That's why I don't fuck with the quote a lot. I don't really like the quote. Like, I understand the logic behind it. What you don't, I feel like that's more for the short term. What you don't know won't hurt you in the short term. But in the long term, it will fuck you up. It will hurt you even more in the long term than if you knew it in the beginning. Because like it or not, all truths at the end of the day will get known. Everything gets known at the end of the day. All lies get uncovered at the end of the day. They all get discovered. That's why I'm not a big believer in conspiracy theories. Because if there's a conspiracy theory since the 1960s, like the moon landing, it's been 80 years since that, not 80 years, it's been 65 years since that conspiracy theory, or 60 years roughly. And we still didn't debunk it. That's why I'm like, bro, we really landed on the moon. That's why I feel like if someone wants to feel like they're correct in a conspiracy theory, I just tell them, give it time. And at the end of the day, time always tells the truth. Time reveals everything. There's a quote in French, qui vivra verra. Because c'est ça que c'est, bro. À la fin de la journée, tout ce qui est vrai à la fin de la journée, ça se fait savoir à la fin de la journée. So like I said, everything that's true at the end of the day is good. The truth is always the best thing, in my opinion. And I feel like what you don't know now won't hurt you now, but in the future will hurt you 10 times more than if you knew it now in the present moment. That's why I always want to know the truth now. Tell me now, don't sugarcoat it. Say it how it is. And so that's why I never really fucked with the universal quote of what you don't know won't hurt you. So my thoughts on Piers Morgan, who tweeted out on X, on Twitter. He said, very disappointed to see Beyonce culturally appropriate Marilyn Monroe and her new Levi's ad. No, of course, Piers Morgan is joking. He doesn't give a fuck. But it's satire. He's explaining how if it would have been the other way around, if it would have been Marilyn Monroe culturally appropriating from Beyonce, all the wokies in general, all the far left liberals would be going after Marilyn Monroe, saying, how aren't you ashamed to culturally appropriate from Beyonce? And the reason why is because Marilyn Monroe is white and Beyonce is black. That's why they would be fucking bashing Marilyn Monroe just because she's white. That's the only reason why. And that's why Piers Morgan tweeted this out, because when Beyonce culturally appropriates, like even I personally, I don't give a fuck if she did this. Like, I don't give a fuck. As a white man, I don't give a fuck. Do it. I don't care. But we all know how woke people would react if Marilyn Monroe would have culturally appropriated from Beyonce. They would have lost their minds. They would have called Marilyn Monroe a bigot. They would have called the Levi's jeans industry bigots. They would have attacked them. But when it's the other way around, when it's Beyonce, a black woman, culturally, we all know it's not cultural appropriation. We don't give a fuck. In my opinion, I said it so many times, cultural appropriation is really stupid and really dumb. But when it's Beyonce copying Marilyn Monroe, the woke leftists don't give a fuck. But it's the same logic. They don't give a fuck. And the only reason they don't give a fuck is because it's a black person taking from a white person. We're being honest. That's how it is. If it would have been the other way around, the left media, the woke mob would have lost their fucking mind. And as you guys know, Piers Morgan isn't woke. He's not part of the left agenda or the leftist, wokeists, extremists, whatever. He's not with them. So that's why he said that joke. But we all know what he meant by it. And I just explained what he meant by it. So my thoughts on this quote from Jaden Smith. And Jaden Smith said, a big Nepo baby. He said, if everybody in the world dropped out of school, we would have a much more intelligent society. I disagree 100%. Now, of course, I'm not saying that degrees make a person smarter. They make a person more knowledgeable and they make a person more disciplined, because like it or not, to get a degree, it takes some sort of discipline and some sort of courage and some sort of hard work, some sort of work to get a degree, like it or not. But the reason why I disagree with this statement from Jaden Smith, because just having a degree doesn't mean you're smarter than someone who doesn't have a degree. That's a fact. I agree with that. But if we take 1,000 people, we take 1,000 people with degrees and we take 1,000 people with no degrees, if we were to do the average IQ of those two groups of people, the groups of people with degrees, the 1,000 group of people with degrees would have a higher average IQ than the group of people who don't have a degree. That's a fact. Now, in the group of 1,000 people who don't have a degree, maybe you can find 1 in 1,000 who has a higher IQ than every single person in the 1,000 group with a degree. That can happen, and that can be a truth, and that can be a reality of life. But like I said, in general, out of the 1,000 people who do have a degree, a university, college degree, and 1,000 people who don't have a college degree, the IQ, the average IQ of those 1,000 with a degree will be higher than those without a degree. That's a fact. Now, of course, you can find a specific case who doesn't have a degree and who has a higher IQ than anyone in the group of with a degree, in the 1,000 group with a degree. But it can also go the other way around. You can still find, there's more chances of you finding that one person in the groups of people with a degree. Now, of course, you can find it in the groups of people with no degrees. But if you had to put a bet, if you had to place a bet, a big bet, and you want to make money and you're not emotional about it, you just want to make money, you know you're going to place a bet on the group of people with degrees, because there's more chances of that person with a high IQ wanting to go to university to study higher education, and there's more chance of you winning that bet if you place it on the group of people with a university or a college degree. So, but that's why I disagree with this statement from Jaden Smith, because he said that he was speaking for society. He wasn't speaking for an individual person. He said that if society stopped going to university, to college, we would have smarter people. He's completely wrong. That's negative. There are many cons to going to university and to college, but there's way more pros than cons to attend university and to get a college degree, to get a 4-year degree or even a master's degree or a PhD degree than to not get one. Now, of course, there's also pros. Depends. There's case by case, but in general, there's more pros than cons for the globality of people to attend university than to not attend university. That's why I disagree completely with this take from Jaden Smith. So this next quote is from Scott D. Clarley, and he said it on Twitter. He said, and I quote him, he said, that he asked the CEO what separates winners from losers. And the CEO responded with, winners do what they said they would do long after the excitement of saying it has passed. Now, I agree and I understand what he means, because we all know some people, they talk, but when it comes down to doing actions and to actually doing something, they don't do anything. And also, it's proven scientifically that when you say you're going to do something, you get the same high and the same dopamine hit than when you actually do that thing that you said that you're going to do. That's why people love talking about their dreams and their goals, because you get the same dopamine hit of you accomplishing that actual goal or dream. That's why people love talking about their dreams, but they don't actually do it. And that's why he said that the only difference is we all love talking about our dreams, and we all talk about our dreams. But at the end of the day, what actually matters and what truly matters is actually doing what you said you would do to accomplish your goal or to accomplish your dreams. That's what actually matters at the end of the day, is to actually do the action of accomplishing your dreams and doing the necessary steps that you have to do to accomplish your goals or your dreams. That's why I fucking love this quote. Now, I cannot say that I agree, because I still yet didn't accomplish all my dreams and my goals. But I did accomplish some goals. Like, let's say before I started working out, I said, you know what, I want to have a six-pack and I want to be in shape. I accomplished a goal to a certain extent or a certain degree. So that's why I understand, because I said that I wanted it, but at the end of the day, I did it. So that's what's important. So many of my friends said, oh, Andre, you know what? I got a lot of motivation from you to get the same body, the same muscles and whatever. They just said it, they didn't do it. So that's why at the end of the day, the difference between me and my friend who didn't accomplish the same fitness goals as I did, the only difference between me and him is I did what had to be done and he didn't. That's the only difference. And I feel like that's the same for everything in life. If you want to accomplish millions of dollars, two people, one says, I want millions of dollars, and he does nothing. The other one says, I want millions of dollars, and he does something. He has way more chances of accomplishing his dreams than this guy, because at the end of the day, you have to fucking do something. You have to do something. Actions matter, not words. Actions speak louder than words. It's been said so many times, but it's a fact. Okay, so guys, for my UFC fans out there, you saw that the UFC signed a $7.7 billion deal for 7 years to be exclusive to Paramount. And I mean, that's a fucking crazy deal. Really good for UFC, even really good for casuals, because now you're only going to be paying, I think, like $8 a month to be able to watch every single pay-per-view of the UFC. So that's really good on both sides. I love it. But then I pulled up some other stats regarding Paramount. And for South Park, Paramount pays South Park $1.5 billion for 5 years. And Paramount also pays $1.5 billion for the UCL, the UEFA Champions League, for 6 years. Now, someone can say, oh my God, how the fuck are they paying more for the UFC than the Champions League? The difference is the UFC will be exclusive to the Paramount. First of all my UFC casuals out there, I love the UFC, but the UFC isn't even close to the UEFA Champions League. MMA and soccer, it's two completely different worlds. It's not even comparable. The reason why they only pay $1.5 billion is because the UEFA Champions League isn't exclusive to Paramount. There's like 20 other streaming sites that stream the UEFA Champions League. That's the difference. If the UEFA Champions League would have been exclusive to Paramount, bro, they would have paid like $100 billion. But they know that it's impossible, because the UEFA Champions League soccer is so big across the world. It's the biggest sport in the world. It's impossible for you to only acquire the UEFA Champions League for only Paramount. That's why they only pay $1.5 billion for 6 years, because the Champions League is streamed across like 20 different platforms. Like, I'm not sure, maybe I can chat GPT and they'll tell me. How many platforms stream the UEFA Champions League? If you're asking how many streaming platforms carry the UEFA Champions League, the answer is there's no single fixed number, because broadcast and streaming rights vary widely by region and provider. Here's how it breaks down. Key streaming platforms for UEFA Champions League by region. For North America, United States, it's Paramount Plus. And also in the United States, they also have TUDN, Univision, VIX, which is in Spanish. They also have The Zone. And additionally, we have Fubo TV, Hulu Plus Live TV, and YouTube TV, which carries matches through CBS and Sports Network. In Canada, we have DAZN. In Europe, they have TNT Sports via Discovery Plus, the primary streaming platform for live matches. In Austria and Germany, they have Service TV. They have Discovery Plus. Also in Australia, they have Stan Sport. In India, they have Sony Live. In Latin America and South America, they have Star Plus, which is via Disney's platform. Other regions have BN Sports, Super Sport, SBT, TNT Sports in Brazil, ESPN, and many more. So that's why Paramount only pays $1.5 billion. It's not because they think that the UFC is bigger than the UEFA Champions League. It's not because they think that MMA is bigger than soccer. It's not even close. It's because the UEFA Champions League is streamed across so many platforms and so many sites that they're only paying $1.5 billion. But like I said, for my UFC casuals out there, this is a really good deal, man. Even I'm so fucking happy. I'm only going to be paying like $8 a month. And like probably all my friends are going to have it, so I don't even have to pay for it. It's just crazy. It's a crazy deal. $7.7 billion for 7 years, man. Okay, so recently, as you guys know, I'm a Christian. I'm a big Christian. I'm born into it, and I've always been a Christian. And the reason why, and as you guys all know, the Bible is the most popular book around the world, is the most sold book around the world. And the reason why the Bible book is so popular and still relevant to this day is because every single person can interpret that book in their own way. That's why it's so popular. It's not like, let's say, a book where they say that 2 plus 2 is 4. There's no other way to interpret that. 2 plus 2 equals 4. But every single story in the Bible, every single verse, every single proverb, whatever, can be interpreted in a different way. That's why it's so popular. And everything that happened 2,000 years ago is still relevant today for when it comes to human nature, human philosophy, human sociology, human psychology. It's still relevant to this day because we're the same human beings that existed this 2,000 years ago. Of course, society changed, cultural innovation, scientific innovation, scientific findings, many things changed, but we're the same human beings with the same internal battles, with the same external battles between human beings, philosophy, sociology, psychology. We're the same human beings. That's why that book is so relevant. I think that the second most popular and sold book worldwide is the Quran, the Muslim book. I think the third one is Le Petit Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I'm not sure. What are the top 10 most sold books across the world? I know that the Bible is the first. I'm pretty sure the Quran is the second. But I think the third one, which isn't a religious book, I think it's Saint-Exupéry, Le Petit Prince. So ChatGPT tells me that the first one is the Bible, an estimated 5 to 7 billion copies sold worldwide. Jesus Christ. The second one, they say that it's quotations from Chairman Mao Tse-tung, the Little Red Book, between 900 million and 6.5 billion copies. That's like, it varies a lot. 900 million to 6.5, that's a huge difference. They say the third is the Quran, which they say is around 800 million to 3 billion. So the Quran and the quotation, the Little Red Book can easily switch because they're surely... They don't know exactly what's the amount, so they can easily switch. In fourth place, you have Scouting for Boys, approximately 150 million copies sold. The Book of Mormon, around 150 million copies sold. Don Quixote, estimated 500 million book copies sold. Okay, so it's not in order. It's just the 10 books with the most copies sold. Don Quixote, is that the Casanova book, huh? Miguel de Cervantes, estimated 500 million books sold. A Tale of Two Cities, about 200 million copies sold. The Lord of the Rings, around 150 million copies sold. Le Petit Prince, The Little Prince from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, approximately 142 million copies sold, which is crazy. And then Harry Potter with approximately over 120 million copies sold. So that's why the Bible, like I said, that's why it's so popular across the world. And I feel like the Bible is always going to be popular and it's always going to be relevant because it's about human nature. It's about human philosophy, human psychology, human maybe even sociology, how they deal with institutions, how to deal with yourself and your dreams, yourself and your spouse and your kids. That's why I feel like the Bible, that's why it's so relevant. And that's why I feel like the Bible will always be relevant. And I feel like the Bible will always be the most popular book across the world because I feel like Christianity is the biggest religion in the world. And I feel like Christianity will always be the biggest religion in the world. And that's why I feel the Bible will always be a really relevant and popular book. Okay, so guys, as you guys know, I'm a sociology student. I got my degree in sociology. Well, actually, I got one course left. So I thought what would be fun for a reality check is to talk about 12 fun sociological facts. So the first fun sociological fact will be your name can shape your life. Sociologists have found that people with more white-sounding names like Emily or Greg are more likely to get job callbacks than those with ethnic-sounding names, even with identical resumes, which makes sense. Like if we're in North America and Canada and the United States, if you have a more white-sounding name, I mean, that'll be more white American-sounding name because my name, Andrei, with an I at the end, is an American. But it's still a white name because it's a Russian name. My name is from Russian origin, Andrei with an I at the end. And Russians, as you guys know, are white. So Andrei is still a white name, but it's not a white American name because it's not popular in America. My name is popular in Russia. But Andrew would be a popular North American name. So I understand that if my name would have been Andrew, maybe it would have helped me a little bit more with job callbacks. But I understand that your name can shape your life. I wonder if maybe you give someone like an older sounding name, will he start acting more older and have like an older soul? I'm not sure. I feel like a name isn't that important, but maybe it can have a little impact. But I do understand for callbacks, for job callbacks, because if I give a resume to a job which is primarily white people, and my name is Muhammad Mustafa, and another guy gives the same CV with the same experience, with the same resume, but his name is Greg Jones, there's probably more chances of Greg Jones getting a call back. But even now, with affirmative action and with woke people, with liberals, maybe Muhammad Mustafa will have a better callback ratio just because he has a more ethnic sounding name. I know that people, the government, they get rewards if you have a more listed item over 2 weeks. If you have more like ethnic diversity in your company. So maybe some companies are looking for more ethnic sounding names or for LGBTQ community members or whatever. So, but in general, I agree that having a more white sounding name will, in order to get you more job callbacks. So the second fun fact regarding sociological events, and it says people act differently when they're being watched. Facts. The Hawthorne effect shows that people change their behavior simply because they know they're being observed. This applies at work and in public or even on social media. Well, I mean, that's like a normal fact. Of course, that's just normal human nature. That's why when you're in public, in private, in your room, and there's no cameras and you're alone, you're going to do some things that you wouldn't necessarily do in front of a camera on a podcast or whatever in front of a camera or out in public where hundreds of people or tens of people can see you. That's just normal human nature. And it's always been like that. And it's just how it should be. I mean, there's some things that I do privately that I would never do in front of a camera or in front of a group of people. Like, let's say have sex with a girl. I would never do that publicly or in front of a camera. That's me. Some people do it, but that's me. So that's why I feel like it's normal that people act differently when they know that they're being watched. If you don't know, then you don't know. So maybe if you feel like you're private and you're alone, but actually there's a camera or people watching you, then maybe you'll do something that you regret doing. But yeah, in general, I understand this Hawthorne effect. So the third sociological fun fact is the bystander effect makes people less likely to help. The more people present during an emergency, the less likely it is that someone will help. Everyone assumes someone else will do it. I feel like if I see someone drowning and I'm the only person there, I feel like naturally, okay, I'm the only person here. I have to jump and go help him because I can swim. Maybe he can't swim. I don't know what's happening. But if I see him drowning, I'm going to feel like, and I'm the only person here, I'm going to feel like, bro, I have to go and help him. But if someone's drowning and there's me and 20 other people, I feel like I would jump immediately because I feel like I did it many times in the past, not necessarily with someone drowning, but in nightclubs when there's a fight to start. Many times I didn't go in and get a bouncer. I just did it myself. I stopped the fight myself. So I feel like even if there was 20 other people, maybe I would like look at everyone, then I would jump because I feel like, okay, no one's doing nothing, let me jump. I feel like personally, I don't want to toot my horn, but I feel like I'm a very proactive person. I'm a very action person. But of course, I understand that in general, people, if they're there and there's 20 other people around them, everyone's going to feel like, are you going to do something? Are you going to do something? Like, okay, you go, like, who's going to go? Like, who's going to go? But while everyone's debating who's going, the person is fucking drowning. Like, we need action now, right? So I understand this, how do we call it? This bystander effect makes sense. It's logical. So yeah. Fourth fun fact, social class affects how you see the world, literally. Research shows that people from working class backgrounds tend to be more attuned to others and their surroundings, while upper class individuals focus more on themselves. I don't know why. In general, I feel like maybe not always, because like or not, some rich people are really fucking generous. Like some billionaires are real philanthropists and they're really, really generous. But maybe in general, people who have less money tend to be more like giving. They tend to give more. Maybe in general, about that, I'm not sure. But of course, I agree that social class affects how you see the world. I mean, I agree, because if you grew up rich, you're going to see money differently than someone who grew up poor. You're going to be less stingy with your money if you're rich, because you're going to feel like money just comes to you naturally and easily and effortlessly. But if you grew up poor, you're going to feel like money is harder to acquire. And when you get money, you have to be more stingy and be more careful regarding it. But maybe not, because here it says also that people who have less are more generous. Also, I'm not sure. I mean, I didn't really look up at stats, but if I speak from personal experience, I feel like people who have a lot of money, some of them can be real assholes and be really stingy and be really selfish. But I feel like there's many billionaires who give a lot, who are really, really not stingy and who are really generous. So regarding this fact, I'm not sure. But one thing's for sure, social class affects how you see the world, and especially if you grew up in a certain social class, because you know how they say old money acts differently than new money. There's a difference on how they act. Someone who was rich, who grew up rich and who was born rich and whose parents were rich and whose grandparents were rich, they live differently, they think differently, they speak differently, they see life differently than someone who was born and who grew up poor, but then later on in his life became rich. They act differently. That's why they say old money and new money act differently. It's all a question of culture, society, and taste and everything. The fifth fun fact is your taste in music, clothes, or food can reflect your social class. French sociologist Pierre Bourdieu argued that taste is not just personal, it's shaped by social background and used to signal class status. I agree. I mean, it's just logical. It makes sense. Let's say some poor people, some less fortunate people can, let's say, love opera singers and can love going to the opera. But I feel like in general, people of upper class tend to go more to the opera or tend to go more to like fucking violinists concert and tend to like more classical music than people from lower class. And like, I'm a big rap fan. I love rap, but I feel like in general, don't come after me, guys, but in general, there's more chances of people from the middle class or the lower class loving and liking rap than people from the upper class. Of course, because rap talks more about coming from the ghetto and from less fortunate places. So, of course, people are going to reflect more and they're going to associate more with rap, people who are from lower classes or even middle classes, than people from upper class. But still, I know people in the upper class who fucking love Future, Lil Baby, whichever rapper, you name it, who talks about the trenches or about the ghetto or about being poor or about hustling in the streets. There's many people from the upper class who still love that music. But in general, if you look at classical music, there's more people in the upper class who love classical music than people in the lower class. And same goes for rap. There's more people from the lower class who love rap than people from the upper class in general, of course. Next fun fact is marriage is becoming a luxury in many countries. Higher income people are more likely to marry and stay married, while marriage rates among lower income groups are declining. I would have thought the opposite. I don't know why. Maybe because people from lower income groups tend to marry quicker, and so they settle down quicker. So maybe they don't find the person who's a perfect match for them. So maybe that's why they get divorced more frequently than higher income people. Maybe higher income people have more options. They play the field more, and you just see what's more to offer. What is there more out there? So maybe that's why they tend to stay married more. I would have thought differently, but hey, I guess I was wrong. Next fun fact is most friendships fade over time. Sociologists find that we replace about half of our close friends every 7 years, thanks to life changes, location shifts, and evolving priorities. I feel like location shift for the majority of people is the reason why their close friend group changes a lot, their circle. And of course, evolving priorities. If one of our friends is becoming more serious in life, he's finishing university, he's getting a stable job, he's finding his wife, he's having kids, and his friends are still in the partying phase, they don't have a wife, they don't have kids, of course, those group of friends are more likely to want to go out and to find a partner and have fun than the person who's married and who has little babies and kids. That's just normal. So I feel like this is just something that's normal in life. And of course, life changes also. Let's say someone doesn't really fuck around with the people they used to fuck around with. Their priorities changed and the way they view life changed. I mean, I changed my friend, not all my friends. I still have some friends that were friends of mine since I was like 12 or 11. But like it or not, since I was 12 years old, now I'm 25, my friend group changed a lot. Some people that I wasn't really close with when I was 12, now I'm really close with them. And some people that I was really close with when I was 12, now I'm not really close with them. It's just a normal part of life, so just how it is. Next fun fact is norms can change fast. Things once considered taboo, like tattoos, LGBTQ plus identities, or working from home, have rapidly become normalized in many societies over just a few decades. That's true. I mean, tattoos before, like, let's say when my parents were young, they used to tell me that the only people who had tattoos in the 80s and 90s in Serbia were people who went to prison. No one else had tattoos. Now, everyone has tattoos. Not everyone, but a lot of people have tattoos. I know that Italy is the country where people are the most tatted. It's like 51% of the population in Italy has tattoos, which makes sense. Italians are really into fashion and looking good, so that's why they care more about how they look and about art and style and fashion. But nowadays, someone who has tattoos, everyone has tattoos. You don't have to be a criminal or you don't need to have a certain past to have tattoos. Now everyone has tattoos. Now, maybe I still feel like face tattoos, there's still taboos regarding face tattoo, because even me personally, if I see someone with a face tattoo, I'm going to be like, oh, okay, he has a face tattoo. Is he a rapper? Like, what's up with that? Because a face tattoo, in my opinion, is kind of fucked up. I mean, hand tattoos, not really. Neck tattoos, a little bit. But face tattoos, man, in my opinion, that's crazy. Like, someone who has a face tattoo, I'm like, okay, bro, you're either a tattoo artist, a musical artist, a criminal. Like, here's something, bro, to have a face tattoo. You cannot pull up with a face tattoo and be like, oh, yeah, I work for the government. Okay? You cannot pull up with a face tattoo and say, oh, yeah, I'm a lawyer. So I'm like, okay. Like, I still understand that taboo and I still have it. But, yeah, it's normal that, in general, on your arms or on your back, legs, whatever, a part of your body which is coverable, it's normal to see someone with tattoos. Next fun fact is social media is a new kind of performance. Irving Goffman's theory of dramaturgy, where people perform roles in daily life, is incredibly relevant to how we curate our lives online. Makes sense. I mean, you know how they say social media is fake, which I agree. You know what's something that I really find funny? You know when people show their morning routines and there's like they put like their phone and then the first part of the video is them waking up and then they act like, they're waking up, they're stretching and shit. I'm like, bro, you literally woke up, put a camera, went back into bed, and then fake woke up. I just find that funny because that's something I can never do because I just feel like it's too fake. But let's say someone, hey, I had this coffee for morning, I had this breakfast, and then I went for a run or I went to the gym or then I did some work, whatever. That's a bit more like normal. But whenever you see someone like waking up, I'm like, bro, who put the camera there? Like you put it there, right? So you had to wake up, do something, put a camera, and then fake fall asleep and then do a morning routine. So that's why social media is fake. Like it's just how it is. Next fun fact. Crowds have a mind of their own. Fact. In a crowd, people often act differently than they would alone, leading to everything from peaceful protests to riots. This is known as collective behavior. We learned about collective behavior a lot in university. It's facts. I mean, there's many times where protests start off as peaceful and then something happens and then they just become violent. But every single person, if you take that person individually, none of them would be ready to fight in a street fight one-on-one. No one's ready for that. It's just human nature. No one's ready to fight in a street fight 1v1. Even professional UFC fighters, they don't want to do it because they know that it's really fucking dangerous and anything can happen on the streets. You can even die in street fights. That's why no one wants to fight, let alone a person with no fighting experience, which is like 99% of the population, and who never fought. They would never fight in a 1v1. But if it's the entire group being violent, you're more likely to be violent. And also, you feel like there's less chance of you getting caught. Let's say putting a car in fire in a protest. If it's you and 10 other people putting the car in fire, and there's 10 other people putting another car in fire over there, and there's 20 other people fucking up a mailbox over there, you're going to be more likely to do it, to do the action, because you feel like I'm not going to get caught because everyone's doing it. We're like 50 people doing something illegal. That's why it's normal. And you're like in a riot, you feel like you're in a different mindset, in a different time zone, which is normal. Next fun fact is gender roles vary widely across cultures. What's considered masculine or feminine isn't universal. Some cultures have more than 2 recognized genders or different gender expectations entirely. This is true. I mean, if I just compare from Eastern Europe and the Western world, originally, I'm from Serbia and my entire family lives in Serbia. All my family members are over there. So whenever I visit Serbia, I see how they perceive man and woman identity different than in the West. I mean, in the West, it's normal to see a couple where they cook together, where they clean together, where they do grocery shopping together, and where they just in general cook and clean together. In Serbia, that's mostly a female thing to do. Now, feminists, don't come after me. I'm just saying how it is over there, how the culture is over there. In Serbia, in general, women are the only ones who cook and clean. In the western part of the world, especially North America, it's a bit more 50-50, right? I cook one night, you cook the other night, and I clean the dishes, you clean the dishes. I do the cleaning around the house, you do the cleaning around the house another day. So it's more 50-50. But in the eastern part of the world, and I can only speak from Eastern Europe because that's where my origins are from, it's mostly the woman who does everything. In my house, if I speak from personal experience, from time to time, my dad will help. But in general, like 90% of the time, it's my mom who does the cooking and the cleaning. 90% of the time, even when it comes to clothes, cleaning the house, whatever, 90% of the time, it's my mom who does it. And my dad and my mom, they love each other. My dad respects the shit out of my mom. My dad respects my mom 100%. It's just a different way of life. It's a different culture. It's a different way of seeing life. And it's just how it is, man. My dad works more, provides more money than my mom in general. He provides more money-wise, and he protects the family physically. Now that me and my brother are older, we don't really need protection physical from my dad. But when we were younger, my dad would provide and protect for me and my brother and my mom. And my mom would cook and clean and do all the education and spiritual healing for the kids. But I feel like there's a difference, which is normal, varying from society to culture and culture, which is just normal. So that's why I'm not surprised by this. And the last fun fact regarding sociology is crime doesn't always increase with poverty. Some of the poorest countries or neighborhoods have relatively low crime rates. Crime is more strongly linked to inequality and social disorganization than poverty alone. I agree. I feel like people are more tempted to do criminal activities if you're poor amongst people who are rich. Then you're going to feel like life is unfair. There's a lot of injustice, and then you're like, fuck it, let me commit crime. I don't give a fuck. Life is unfair. But if you're poor amongst poor people, you're going to feel like life is fair because we're all poor. So you're not different than anyone else. You're all poor together. So you're going to feel like, there's no injustice or anything. We're just all equal. So you're less likely to commit crime. But if you're poor amongst rich people or amongst people who are better off than you are, there's more chances of that certain individual committing illegal activities or doing fraud or stealing or whatever, because they feel like life is unfair. There's a lot of injustice. Fuck it. I'm suffering injustice. They're committing injustice towards me. I'm gonna do criminal activities. So that's why I understand this sociological fact. So let's finish off with 12 fun psychological facts. We did sociological facts. Let's do 12 fun psychological facts to end this reality check. So the first fact is your brain can trick you into thinking you're busy. Just thinking about your to-do list can make you feel mentally drained, even if you haven't done anything yet. This, I agree, and I feel like we all have to watch out for this, because sometimes we think about, I have to do this. Okay, then we feel like we're busy, but we're not actually doing any action. We're not actually doing something. In our mind, we're busy. Our mind thinks we're busy, but we're just thinking about what we have to do. And when we overthink about what we have to do, it drains us emotionally and it takes away from our energy. So it actually takes away energy from us actually doing the act. So that's why you have to watch over. That's why overthinking is really draining for people. It's really heavy on people because it drains you mentally, overthinking. That's why you should watch out for that. Not only you, me, myself, everyone should watch out for that, because our brain can trick us into thinking we're busy when we're only simply thinking about our to-do list and what we have to do. Second fun fact, you can only hold about 7 things in your short-term memory. That's why phone numbers are usually 7 digits long. This is known as Miller's Law. Makes sense. Third fun fact, people remember emotionally charged moments more vividly, but not more accurately. Strong emotions boost memory confidence, not accuracy. Your dramatic breakup might feel crystal clear, but it's probably full of distortions. That's why when something fucked up happens, emotionally wise, that's why you feel like you can't really think about it rationally, because you're not really sure where it's at, but you remember it very vividly. But it's not crystal clear, but you remember it really well, like what happened. You remember that fact that happened really fucking well, but you cannot explain it rationally or vividly. Next fun fact, we tend to believe facts that feel true. This is called the illusion of truth effect. The more familiar or repeated something is, the more likely we are to accept it as true, even if it's false. And I feel like this is normal. I mean, we tend to believe facts that feel true. I mean, if it feels true, we tend to feel that it's true, right? We feel that it's true. We're animals that are really emotional, so I feel like that's normal. Fifth fun fact, multitasking is a myth. The brain doesn't really multitask. It switches between tasks quickly, which makes you less efficient and more prone to mistakes. Personally, I learned in school and psychology classes that women are better at multitasking than men. If I speak from personal experience, I can't do 2 things at the same time. If I'm texting on my phone and someone's talking to me, I have to concentrate on one thing, because if I concentrate on both, I'm just lost and I'm concentrated on nothing. That's why when I'm texting something and someone's talking to me, I'm like, bro, I didn't understand a single thing you said. I'm sorry, I'm texting. Let me finish texting. Then I'll answer. Or if it's the other way around. Personally, I cannot multitask. I feel like, and I learned in psychology classes, that's like the truth for most men, and women are better in multitasking. And they say that it comes from human nature, biological reasons. Women are more made to take care of babies, and that's why they need to learn how to take care of the baby. At the same time, do food. At the same time, clean and talk to their husband. While men, we're more focused on going hunting, and we're only focused on, I have to kill this beast so I can provide for my family. That's why, genetically speaking, that's normal that women are better at multitasking than men. So, but hey, here they say that multitasking is a myth. Maybe the woman brain is better at switching and faster at switching from tasks, and they also do it more efficiently than men. So maybe that's the reason why. The sixth fun fact is you can literally catch other people's emotions. Thanks to mirror neurons, we tend to mimic facial expressions postures, and even moods of those around us without realizing it. That's why you know how they say that when you start hanging out with a new gang, with a new crew, you start to talk like that person. And when you get in a relationship with someone else, you start to mimic the way you talk and the way you act and whatever. So I feel like this is just normal for our brain process. 8, fun fact, writing things down helps you remember them. Yeah, that's true. That's why when I used to study, I would just rewrite everything that I had to study and it would help me. I feel like everyone does the same thing. The act of physically writing, not typing, activates multiple areas of the brain and boosts memory and understanding. That's why when I watched a podcast of Joe Rogan with Quentin Tarantino, he said that you cannot type poetry on your laptop. You have to write poetry. And Joe Rogan asked why. And he said that because the act of writing with your hand is more personal, is more deep, and is more emotionally connected with yourself than typing on the computer. That's why they say that you cannot type poetry, you can only write poetry. And that's why Quentin Tarantino said that when he writes new movies, new scripts, he doesn't type them, he writes them with his hand because he feels like it's more truthful to himself and to his soul. That's why I understand this. The 9th fun fact, your favorite songs are often linked to emotional memories. That's why songs from your teenage years hit harder. They're tied to a period of intense emotional development. Makes sense. 10th fun fact of the day, the 10th one. Eye contact creates a sense of connection, even with strangers. Just holding eye contact for 60 seconds can increase feelings of closeness, attraction, or trust. But too long equals creepy. That's true. If there's a person you don't know, even if you know him, if you hold eye contact for too long, it's going to feel like a bit creepy. But I also agree that if you find like the sweet spot of holding eye contact, it can increase feelings of closeness, attraction, or even trust. The 11th fun fact of the day, we're more likely to conform in a group, even if we know it's wrong. Classic experiments like Ash's line test showed that peer pressure can override what we know to be true. That's true. There was like a test I once saw that a person would ask 5 people, and of those 5 people, 4 were in on it, and 1 person was a randomly selected person from a crowd. And that person would ask those 5 people a normal question like, which image here is longer than the other image? And one was clearly longer than all the other ones, but since all the 4 people said the wrong answer, the 5th person felt like he had to say the wrong answer also, just so he felt like a part of the crew. And like it or not, we're all social creatures. We all want to be accepted amongst our group of peers and amongst society. That's why we act that way. So I agree 100%. The last fun psychological fact of the day is your brain can't tell the difference between real and imagined experiences. That's why visualization works. Imagining success, failure, or even physical pain can trigger real neurological responses. That's why they say that meditation and visualization is so important in order for you to achieve your dreams, because they say that the brain can't tell the difference between real and imagined experiences. I think that's why they say that you should fake it till you make it, because when you start acting like the person that you want to become, your brain and your subconscious brain naturally makes you become that person, because your brain cannot tell what's true and what's false and what's fake. So that's why they say fake it till you make it. Start meditating and start acting like the person you want to become, and eventually after repetition, your brain will start acting like the person that one day you want to become. So that was the last fun fact. That was it for this reality check, guys. See you next time. Peace out.